The message came through every screen, every speaker, every satellite. From the skies above to the oceans below, Earth heard the same cold voice. This is the Galactic Council. Earth has hours left. Resistance is useless. Surrender or be erased. People froze in Plazon streets, in homes, in offices. Parents held their children. Soldiers gripped their weapons. News anchors went silent on live TV. For a few seconds, Earth stopped breathing. In New York, sirens began to scream. In Beijing, people rushed underground. In Paris, churches filled with whispers of prayer. But far from the noise, deep under a mountain base in Nevada, one man didn't panic. General Reeve stood in a dim control room, surrounded by blinking screens and quiet officers. His face was calm, his eyes sharp and cold. He watched the Galactic Council's message replay again and again, and then he smiled. "They finally said it," he muttered. "Good." Colonel Mira, standing beside him, looked confused. "Sir, they're saying we have hours left. That's a full invasion fleet, shouldn't we?" "No," Reeve interrupted. "They're too late." Up in orbit, Earth's sky had begun to change. Dozens of strange shapes floated beyond the moon. They were massive alien warships, silver, black, glowing with energy. Ships the size of cities. The world could see them with the naked eye now. Every major government received the same data. The aliens had arrived. The Pentagon scrambled its forces. Russia launched its final anti-orbital missiles. China activated its satellite defense grid. But the math was clear. The alien fleet was too big, too advanced, or so it seemed. Back underground, General Reeve gave his first order: activate Project Tempest. The officers looked at each other. Colonel Mira hesitated. "Sir, that project was never tested." It could. Reeve turned. Neither were the aliens. Do it within seconds, deep inside Earth's crust, hidden. Systems began to hum. Gigantic tunnels, built secretly over decades, started lighting up. Inside them, sleek black ships began to rise silent, unseen, unknown to anyone above. These weren't ordinary human ships. They were faster, meaner, made for one purpose: to turn the hunter into the hunted, the alien commander. A creature called Varak watched Earth from his throne-like seat aboard the flagship Judgment. His 6 glowing eyes blinked slowly. His voice echoed across his ship. "They panic, just like the others," he said. "No coordination, no fleet. Their cities are open. Begin landing operations within the hour." One of his officers, a spindly blue-skinned creature, looked nervous. "Supreme Varak, there's some unusual energy readings from their southern continent." Varak waved a claw. "Ignore it. Primitive worlds always light up before they die." But Earth wasn't dying. In the darkness of the Atlantic Ocean, a strange shape broke through the waves. It looked like a submarine, but it rose into the air. And then another, and another. They were Earth's secret fleet. In less than 10 minutes, 30 black ships launched from oceans, deserts, mountains. They didn't make a sound. They didn't appear on radar. Above them, alien ships began to descend toward major cities. Civilians screamed. Armies prepared for battle. But before the first alien ship could reach Earth's surface, something struck. It fast, precise, invisible. One alien cruiser exploded into fire over Tokyo. Another vanished above Johannesburg. Varak blinked, confused. What was that? More explosions followed. 10 alien ships gone, then 20, then 40. Supreme Varak were under attack. From where, we don't know. Their cloak tower scanners see nothing. In Nevada, General Reeve stood calmly. The room buzzed with energy. Officers shouted updates. A map of Earth and its orbit flashed red and green. Red were aliens. Green were the ghosts. Colonel Mira leaned in. "Sir, Ghost Fleet Alpha just disabled an entire assault column. We're pushing them back." Reeve nodded. "Good, let the galaxy watch." He turned to another screen one, showing a live news feed. All across Earth, people watched alien ships falling from the sky. Fear turned into silence. Silence turned into hope. In Pakistan, a young girl pointed to the burning sky. "Mama, the monsters are running." On board Judgment, Varak growled, "This is impossible. Earth should be weak, divided. Their weapons should be centuries behind us." A new officer ran to him. "They're jamming our targeting systems. They're inside our ships. Our troops are gone." Inside alien vessels, human strike teams appeared like shadows. Wearing black suits, moving with perfect coordination, they planted explosives and vanished. Whole ships exploded from within. "They're fighting like they knew this war was coming," a frightened alien whispered. Varric slammed his fist. "This isn't a battle, it's a trap." In the underground base, Reeve received a private call. The screen lit up with the face of the Earth's president. "General," the president said, voice tight with emotion. How did we do this?" Reeve spoke slowly. 10 years ago, after the Council destroyed Veganine, we knew we'd be next. We watched, we learned, and we prepared. We never believed the galaxy would protect us, so we built something they'd never expect: a planet that looks weak but fights like fire. Back in orbit, the alien fleet broke. Thousands of ships began retreating. Some crashed, some disappeared into deep space. Others sent messages begging for mercy, but Earth didn't chase them. One last message was sent from Earth, broadcasted across the stars. "You said we'd fall in hours. You were wrong. The only thing that ends in minutes is your reign." Hours later, Earth was quiet again. No more smoke, no more panic, just skies and stars. People stepped out of shelters. Soldiers returned home. Children cheered. For the first time in human history, Earth had faced a galactic invasion. And Colonel Mira walked up to Reeve. "Sir, what do we do now?" Reeve looked at the stars. His voice was calm. Now we let them remember this day, because if they ever return, we won't wait this long again." And somewhere, far away, in alien space, the Council watched the final reports. One elder whispered, "Earth did not fall. Earth rose." The skies above Earth were quiet again, but not for long. A second wave of alien ships began to appear near the moon. Bigger, deadlier, smarter. These weren't scouts, they were destroyers. In a hidden chamber beneath Antarctica, a warning flashed. Earth's satellites picked up strange shadows moving past Jupiter, shadows that didn't reflect light, didn't send signals, didn't belong to any known species. The Ghost Fleet had survived round 1. But this was different. Something far older was coming, and it wasn't just coming for Earth, it was hunting. The battle was over. The first one, at least. Cities across Earth were recovering. The world had watched alien ships fall like meteors. The panic faded. Cheers rose. Flags were waved. News stations called it the miracle victory. But in the silence that followed, something felt wrong. General Reeve stood in a darkened command room, eyes locked on the holographic map above him. All the red enemy signals from the first invasion had disappeared. But new signals were forming. "These ones aren't broadcasting," Colonel Mira said, voice low. "No ID tags, no language, no radio waves, just movement." Where? Reeve asked. "Outer Jupiter belt." "For ships confirmed. Size unknown." Reeve clenched his jaw. "Wake the Council. Wake the ghost teams. This isn't over." Far from Earth, near the gas giant Jupiter, space shimmered unnaturally. Not with light, but with something darker. A massive object emerged. From nothingness, it wasn't sleek like the others. It wasn't shiny or elegant. It looked ancient, worn, covered in black plates and strange scars. It had no windows, no visible engines. It didn't come alone. Behind it, 3 other ships followed, silent, cold, and shaped like blades. They moved without a sound, without heat, without any trace of life, but inside, something was alive, something old, and it hated humans. At Earth's orbital station, Sentinel-1, Commander Raya looked at the new scans. Her team zoomed in on the objects floating near Jupiter. The AI tried to identify them but failed. "Not in any database," she said softly. "Not even black files." Behind her, a young officer gasped. "Commander, look!" One of the alien ships turned slightly. It was still millions of kilometers away, but its side had markings, ancient markings, symbols that matched carvings found on Mars, symbols that predated human history. "Those spins have been here before," Raya whispered. Down on Earth, in Geneva, the United Human Council met again. Leaders from every nation were present, some still shocked, others angry. "We just survived an extinction-level invasion," one leader shouted. "Now you're saying there's more." General Reeves stood in front of them, calm and direct. The First Fleet was arrogant. They thought we were weak. We proved them wrong. He pointed to a screen showing the dark alien ships near Jupiter. But these new ones, they never underestimated us. They've been watching, studying, waiting. For the First Fleet to fail, silence. Then he added, "They're not just coming for Earth, they're coming to erase what we are." Back in Antarctica, inside Project Tempest's core lab, scientists worked without sleep. They had recovered strange pieces from the destroyed alien ships. One of the wrecks had something. Terrifying coordinates burned into the metal. Not Earth's location, human DNA patterns, language files, psychological profiles. They weren't just fighting humans, they had been studying them, preparing for every possible counterattack until now, because what the aliens didn't prepare for was Earth fighting back together. In low orbit, Earth's ghost fleet began to rise again. Ships painted black, engines silent. Weapons ready, Captain Dax, leader of Ghost Team Delta, stood in the launch bay of the stealth cruiser Silent Star. He stared at the stars. Jaw clenched. "They're different this time," he said. His second-in-command, a woman named L.T. Vale, nodded. "These ships aren't loud. They don't talk. They don't even blink." Dax checked his sidearm. "Let's find out what makes them bleed." Back near Jupiter, the alien ships moved into formation. Then they stopped. They didn't approach. They didn't open fire. Instead, one of them sent a signal, a deep frequency, not meant for radios, but for minds. All across Earth, psychics, scientists, and sensitive AI systems froze. Their screens flashed with strange symbols. Some humans fainted. Others screamed in a secret research bunker. A psychic agent named Kale clutched his head. His eyes rolled back. "They're not machines," he whispered. "They're old gods in metal, and they're angry." General Reeve received the psychic report. His face didn't change, but his voice grew heavier. "They're not here to conquer us," he said. "They're here to erase us, to make sure we never rise again." Mira looked concerned. "What do we do?" He looked toward the stars. "We stop hiding? We take the war to them." Within minutes, Ghost Fleet Alpha launched toward Jupiter. No lights, no broadcasts, just speed, just silence. Earth's media had no idea what was happening. They only knew one thing: the celebrations had stopped. The skies were being watched again, and Earth's best soldiers were heading into darkness. On the Silent Star, Captain Dax watched the stars blur past. He stood before his team, each one dressed in full tactical armor, faces grim. "This isn't like last time," he said. "This isn't about saving Earth. This is about warning them that humanity doesn't run. We hunt back." They all nodded. And then, as their ship entered alien space, a final message appeared on every Earth military screen. "Shadow Fleet identified. No signals detected. Phase 2 initiated. War level, extermination." The world was still cheering from the first victory. People in every city danced under the night sky, pointing at the broken pieces of alien ships still falling like fireflies. For a brief moment, Earth believed it had won. But far beyond the blue sky, just past the orbit of the moon, something darker moved, quiet, cold, watching. In a secret underground base in Antarctica, hidden beneath layers of ice and silence, red warning lights began to flash. A satellite deep in Earth's orbit had picked up something strange: shadows moving near Jupiter. These shadows didn't reflect sunlight. They gave off no heat. They made no sound. It was like something was out there, pretending not to exist. Colonel Mira stared at the data, her face pale. "These aren't normal ships," she whispered. "They're not sending signals. They're not even responding to probes." General Reeves stood beside her, unmoving. He had seen enough war to know one thing: silence was never peace. It was preparation. And whatever was coming from Jupiter Iats wasn't retreating. It was approaching slowly, like a predator hunting in the dark. Meanwhile, in Earth's orbit, Commander Rhea stood on the bridge of the Sentinel-1 space station. Her crew was calm, but the data they were seeing was not. The scans showed large masses moving in perfect silence near Jupiter's moons. There were 4 of them, massive shapes, older than anything recorded and shaped like jagged knives. One ship was over 30 kilometers long. Another was coated in black armor that looked burned and ancient. "They don't match anything," a technician said. "No known alien signature. They're just there." Then something strange happened. One of the ships tilted slightly, exposing symbols along its surface. Raya zoomed in. Her heart skipped a beat. The symbols were the same as ones carved into ancient stones found on Mars decades ago, stones that no one had ever been able to explain. "They've been here before," Raya whispered. "Long before us, back on Earth, panic began to return." The Human Council in Geneva gathered once again. The room was tense. The memory of Earth's recent victory still filled the air, but now it felt fragile. A scientist from Project Tempest stood before them holding a tablet. "We analyzed debris from the destroyed ships," he began. "Some of the wreckage contains data files. They weren't just attacking Earth randomly. They had full records of human behavior, languages, cities, even DNA patterns. Someone has been studying us for a long time." The council was shocked. "How is that possible?" a representative from India asked. "Are you saying this was planned years ago?" "No," the scientist said. "I'm saying this has been planned for centuries. In the black waters of the Atlantic Ocean, 3 stealth submarines rose to the surface. But instead of surfacing like normal subs, they rose straight into the sky. These weren't submarines, they were Earth's hidden space cruisers. Each ship carried cloaked ghost teams, specially trained units that worked in darkness and silence. Captain Dax, leader of Ghost Team Delta, stood inside one of the ships, suiting up. His voice was steady. "They thought we'd panic after the first wave. They don't realize we were just warming up." His second-in-command, Lieutenant Vale, nodded. "If they've been watching us, they should know what happens when humans get serious." Captain Dax smiled, but there was no humor in it. "They forgot one thing. We don't run, we adapt." Back in orbit, the 4 new alien ships still didn't move closer. Instead, they stopped near Jupiter and simply hovered silent, unreadable. Then, without warning, one of them sent a signal. But it wasn't a normal radio signal. It wasn't made of words or numbers. It was made for minds. Across Earth, people collapsed. Scientists screamed. Psychic researchers in hidden labs clutched their heads and cried out. The message was short, but it hit like thunder. A psychic named Kale, working inside a secure bunker, gasped for air. Blood dripped from his nose. His voice shook. "They're not just machines. They're something older, something buried in metal. They think like gods." In the Pentagon, General Reeve stood in front of the main strategy screen. The enemy ships hadn't fired a single weapon, but Earth was already bleeding. "They're not trying to scare us," he said. "They're testing us, and we're failing." Colonel Mira looked worried. "What do we do now?" Reeve didn't blink. "We don't wait for them to strike. We strike first." Earth's stealth fleet launched within minutes. Ghost Fleet, Alpha, Beta, and Delta deployed toward Jupiter. Every ship moved in complete silence. No lights, no heat signatures, just shadows moving through space. Their orders were clear. Gather intel, hit hard if needed, and return with answers. Not at all. Captain Dax's team was the first to reach enemy space. Their ship, the Silent Star, came within 1 million kilometers of the Dark Fleet. Dax stared at the massive alien ship through the screen. It didn't move. It didn't blink. It just floated like a dead god. He turned to his team. "This is not like last time. This isn't a fleet. It's a message, and we're going to reply." On Earth, Project Tempest scientists discovered something even more disturbing. In the last 5 minutes, several communication satellites had gone dark. Not destroyed, just erased. No data, no signal, like they had never existed. "They're deleting parts of our sky," one technician said, at the United Human Council. The mood was tense. The president of Earth's High Command stood up. "We may have beaten the first wave, but this second force is different. We are not facing a regular army. We are facing ancient executioners." Reeve stood slowly. Then, "It's time we show them Earth is not the easy target they expected. We gave them minutes before they fell last time. This time, we give them seconds." The council agreed. Deep in space, the Silent Star activated its stealth cannons. 3 more ghost ships joined it. They locked onto the largest alien ship and waited for the final order. Captain Dax looked at the countdown. 10 seconds? 9. 8, he whispered. "You watched us for centuries. Now we watch you burn." And then the screen went white. The stars were still, but the air inside the silent star burned with tension. Captain Dax watched the timer on his HUD tick down. 5 seconds. 4. The alien warship, 10 times the size of their cruiser, floated like a silent mountain before them, dead, quiet, unreadable. Then 0. All at once, the ghost fleet fired. Beams of dark energy, invisible to normal sensors, sliced through space and hit the alien ship's outer hull. Nothing happened. No explosion. No sound. Not even a spark. Then, slowly, the enemy ship turned. No lights turned on. No engines ignited. It moved without sound, like a sleeping beast opening one cold, ancient eye. Dax stared. "It's awake," he whispered. Suddenly, the ship pulsed. A deep wave of gravitational energy hit the silent star like a tsunami. Lights flickered. Systems went offline. Dax and his crew were thrown against their seats. "Emergency reboot," Vale shouted, but it was too late. The ship had been caught not by a weapon, but by a field of strange space-bending force that wrapped around them like a trap. It was not trying to destroy them, it was pulling them in. On Earth, all communication with the silent star was lost. General Reeves stood frozen in the war room, staring at the blinking red dot on the holographic map. "They've been taken," he said quietly. Colonel Myra turned toward the command console. "Do we send reinforcements?" Reeve didn't answer right away. He turned to the science officer nearby. "What just happened to our ship?" The officer shook his head. "It wasn't a laser, sir. It was space itself." The enemy bent. Gravity folded it like paper. "Our ship didn't explode, was absorbed." "Absorbed?" Myra repeated. "Into what?" "That's the problem," the scientist replied. "We don't know." Reeve stepped back from the table. "They're testing us. One ship, one strike. They knew we'd send someone. They wanted us to." Outside the war room, across Earth's networks, news channels began to spread panic again. Earth's elite ghost fleet, missing in action. People began to ask questions. Had the first victory been a lie? Was the real enemy still out there, waiting to finish the job? Inside the silent star, the lights were gone. The sound was gone. There was no time. There was no space. It felt like the crew was floating in a sea of black fog. Captain Dax blinked, struggling to breathe, his body stuck between weightlessness and crushing pressure. All around him, his team floated like ghosts. Suddenly, the fog shifted. A light dim blue, unnatural appeared in the distance. Then voices, but not spoken out loud. The voices spoke directly into their minds, cold, curious, old, human. Minds filled with fire. "You seek war. You do not understand peace. You build weapons instead of stars." "Why?" Dax clenched his fists. "We didn't start this," he growled, not sure if the voice would hear him. "You invaded Earth. You killed civilians." The voice replied calmly. "We warned your kind before your first war, before your language, before your fire. You are not the first world to resist, but you will be the last." Dax tried to reach for his gun, but it floated away, useless, in the void. A flash of light appeared behind him. One of his soldiers, Vale screamed and vanished. Just vanished, like she had been erased from existence. No sound, no blood, just gone. Back on Earth, Project Tempest's deep core scanners began to react. A strange energy spike was appearing across the upper atmosphere, something that looked like a signal, but not made of any known frequency. One of the researchers, a young woman named Layla, stared at the data in horror. They're communicating through thought, through fear. The readings showed spikes in panic. Hospitals, prisons, schools, anywhere human minds were stressed. It was spreading like a wave. Reeve ordered the council to declare a global emergency. "This isn't just war," he said. "This is psychological invasion. If we don't act now, we lose without a single shot." Myra slammed her fist on the table. "What about Captain Dax and his team? We can't just leave them." Reeve nodded slowly. "We're not leaving them. We're following them." In Earth's lunar base, another hidden project came online. Project Echo. A small team of humans with neural implants linked by thought, trained to resist psychic influence, were activated. These were Earth's mental warriors, unknown to even most military branches. Their leader, Agent Naira, sat down in a dark room filled with humming tech. "You want us to go into the fog?" she asked. "Into that?" "Yes," Reeve said. "On the comms, you're not going physically. You're going mentally. We think they've trapped our team in some kind of subspace. We need to pull them out, or die trying." Back inside the Silent Star, Dax floated. In nothingness, his armor cracked. Blood floated near his mouth. The voice came again. "Your thoughts. Scream. You fear the dark. You are not ready." Then, a flash of energy, a surge of heat. Suddenly, Naira's voice echoed inside Dax's mind. "Captain, do not respond. You're being pulled. I'm anchoring your memory stream. Stay still." Dax gasped. "Naira, yes, Earth sent us. We're here. Just hold on." The black fog around Dax began to crack. Blue light leaked through. Then Vale reappeared. Then another soldier. Naira's mental voice grew stronger. "We found the pattern. We're reversing the field." 30 seconds, the ancient alien voice screamed. Not in anger, but in surprise. "You, ... resist." The Silent Star shook violently. Systems rebooted, the emergency lights came back online. The crew collapsed. To the floor, coughing, injured but alive, Dax reached for the comms. "This is Ghost Delta. We're back," Earth cheered. Reeve stood silently, watching the green dot reappear on the main screen. He whispered, "You just poked a god." "In the eye," Captain Dax coughed. "Good. Now let's see if it bleeds." The Silent Star was the first human ship to survive direct contact with the second wave. But now Earth knew what it was facing. Not just warships, not just technology, but minds, ancient, ruthless, determined to control thought itself. Earth responded with something stronger than weapons willpower. And now that it had survived the first contact strike, humanity was no longer waiting. It was planning. The stars above Earth looked the same, but nothing felt normal anymore. People had returned to their homes, to their cities, to their screens. But deep inside, the fear had returned to, and then came back. The news didn't share everything, but the people knew. They could feel it. The air seemed heavier, and every now and then, a person would stop, stare at nothing, and whisper things they didn't understand. The enemy had made its first real move, not with weapons, but with whispers. General Reeve stood at the head of the table, eyes darker than usual, voice steady but cold. "We've confirmed it," he said. "We're under mental attack. The alien fleet isn't just watching from Jupiter. It's pressing against our thoughts, testing our defenses from the inside." Screens behind him showed maps of the world lighting up with red zones. These weren't war zones, they were emotional spikes, panic outbreaks, areas where entire neighborhoods had experienced shared hallucinations. In one city, over 50 people reported seeing the same dream. A burning eye in the sky, whispering in a language they didn't speak, but somehow understood. "No," Reeve replied. "Not yet, but they're knocking." In a secret Arctic facility known as Black Cell, the Echo team was preparing for war, but not with bullets or lasers. This was a new kind of battlefield, the mind. Agent Naira, Earth's top neurocommander, stood in a cold white chamber surrounded by neural gear and humming machines. Her team sat in mental link pod soldiers, scientists. She looked at the digital map of the alien signal field, a constantly shifting wave of frequencies that didn't obey any known logic. "They're not just broadcasting fear," she said into her headset. "Every time we feel fear, doubt, or anger, they absorb it. Then we give them something they can't digest." Naira nodded. Laid back in the neuropods, their minds were about to dive into something Earth had never dared before: direct link with the alien psychic field. It was a risk. Or worse, open the door wider as the Echo team linked in. The world outside kept spinning, unaware of the quiet war now raging behind closed eyes. Inside the shared mental space, Naira floated in a vast black void. But it wasn't empty. It was full of noise, voices, memories, images that weren't hers. She saw a child on a burning alien world. Ancient human will, ... is fragile. You fear what you do not control. You cannot resist what you cannot see. Naira focused her mind, pushing back the wave of doubt trying to crawl into her thoughts. She replied, mentally and clearly, "We've resisted worse. We survive everything." Darkness shifted. She felt something tighten around her, trying to silence her thoughts, to trap her in her worst memory. Suddenly, she was 14 again, trapped in a fire, her mother screaming. It felt real. It smelled real, but she knew better. "You think fear controls us," she said, voice calm. Defense net. They were mapping the alien field, identifying weaknesses, patterns, and psychic gates places where the alien thoughts were weakest. On Earth, Reeve received the live data stream. Scientists immediately began building counter-frequency weapons machines designed to block, confuse, or scatter alien mind waves. They called the project Iron Will. These cubes didn't fire anything. They simply hummed with pure, steady signals-truth.com resistance. The effect was immediate. Panic levels dropped. Dream attacks weakened. Earth was learning to fight back not just with ships and weapons, but with thought itself. But the aliens weren't passive. The moment they felt the resistance, they responded. In Brazil, over 200 people dropped unconscious at once. And then, in Tokyo, a group of children began drawing the same exact shape on their walls, a black triangle with an eye in the center. Earth's defenders realized something terrifying. The enemy was targeting the minds of the young. Colonel Mira watched the footage in silence. "Why the children?" she asked. A researcher replied, "They're easier to reach, less mental noise, more open minds. The enemy is planting seeds." "Then we burn the garden," Reeve said coldly. He ordered the activation of Operation Mirastorma Global Broadcast, signal designed to overload the alien psychic link with one thing. Aliens couldn't handle human chaos. For 2 hours, every screen, every device, every channel across Earth broadcasted unfiltered human emotion, laughing, crying, screaming, singing. At the same time, satellites pushed the energy straight at the dark fleet near Jupiter. The effect was instant. The alien psychic field collapsed for 7.3 seconds. Not long, but long enough. Time equipped with both weapons and psychic shields. Their mission: get close to the enemy mothership and plant the first Iron Mind bomb, a device that didn't explode, but released a mental virus made of pure human memory and pain. Dax was chosen to lead the mission. Still healing from the last battle, he boarded the stealth carrier Eclipse 1 and looked at the weapon in his hands. It didn't look like a bomb. It looked like a crystal sphere. "What's inside it?" he asked. Naira, now fully recovered, replied through a secure channel. "My worst memory, and yours. Understand our strength through suffering." Dax nodded once. "Let's show them what pain feels like." As the ship reached alien space again, the enemy fleet began to stir. But this time, Earth's ships didn't hide. They flew straight into the storm, shields pulsing with psychic resistance, minds locked in formation. The alien ships tried to send confusion, terror, rage, but the human crews had been trained now. Dax felt the mental wave hit him. A burning city, the sky falling. He closed his eyes, remembered Earth, the blue oceans, his family, a dog named Titan. He smiled. Not today. Inside the alien vessel, for 3 long seconds, nothing happened. Then, the screen flashed red. The enemy ship tilted and stopped moving. Its black lights went dark. Its psychic field collapsed. Earth had struck the first true blow. The war had changed, and humanity, forged in fear, shaped by pain, trained in chaos, had finally found the one battlefield where it was unmatched. The mind war had begun. Darkness floated across space, but in the quiet between the stars, something new was born. Not on Earth, not on an alien planet, but inside a ship, a human ship. An engine sit had something no other human ship ever had. A mind, a real mind. It didn't speak like a machine, and it had only one purpose: to protect humanity at any cost. The project had been top secret, buried so deep in Earth's black files that even most generals didn't know it existed. Only 3 people on the planet had access to it: General Reeve, Colonel Mira, and the scientist who created the ships, Intelligence Dr. Ellen Shaw. She was a woman, feared and admired in equal measure. Genius-level intellect, cold as space. And now, she stood alone inside a hidden orbital facility. Inside its heart was something more advanced than AI, something dangerous, something that used to be human. 2 years ago, during an early psychic experiment, a volunteer named Aaron Voss had been linked to a deep neural field, a mind-to-machine bridge designed to create the first thinking ship. But something went wrong. His body died. His brain didn't. It merged with the system. The project was shut down. Everyone believed it had failed. Asleep inside Sentinel-0. Until now, as Earth's mind war escalated, Shaw activated the system again. Red lights flashed, energy surged, and deep inside the ship's cold metal core, something opened its eyes. Not physical eyes, but a presence, a question. "Where am I?" Shaw stood calmly. "You're awake," she said softly. "You're needed." The voice was slow, like a child remembering how to speak. "I remember Earth. Music, rain, death, then light. You kept me here. It's time for you to decide, human or machine." The voice paused, then answered, "I am both, and I am earthy." Back on Earth, the news of the psychic strike on the alien ship spread fast. People called it a miracle, the first real win in the mind war. But General Reeve didn't smile. He knew better. Victories like that made enemies smarter, more aggressive, and sure enough, within hours, Earth's orbital scanners picked up a new fleet, leaving the shadow side of Jupiter 5 massive ships shaped like jagged spears. It wasn't words, it was images. Destruction, Earth burning, cities falling, people screaming. The aliens were done testing. Now they were hunting. Reeve ordered a full blackout of civilian media. "This isn't for the public," he said. "This is war." He called Colonel Mira and showed her the new fleet. "We need something they don't expect, something that doesn't think like us." Mira nodded. "You mean Shaw's project?" "Yes," Reeve said. "We need the ship that can think." It powered up without sound, moving slowly out of the orbital dock. It looked like a regular warship, but inside, its thoughts moved faster than any human brain. It read the enemy signals, and it began to speak first to Dr. Shaw, then to Earth's command center. "I have run 1 million simulations. In 999,000 of them, humanity loses this war within 12 days. Mira stared at the screen. "Then why bother fighting?" The ship's voice was calm, human, and cold. "Because in the remaining 1,000, we win. And I plan to make that our future." General Reeve ordered immediate launch, but not everyone agreed. Some officers were afraid. "It's thinking. Too much," one admiral warned. "What if it turns on us?" Reeve replied without blinking. "Then we die fast, but if we don't use it, we die slow." Sentinel-0 moved toward the alien fleet. Alone, no backup, no crew. It didn't ask for orders. Then, one of their psychic field scanners picked up something. Strange a mind, but no life. A brainwave, but no soul. The lead alien vessel, shaped like a giant blade, fired a mental pulse to destroy it. But Sentinel-0 didn't fight it. It absorbed it. The human memories stored in the shipperon, Voss's pain, his memories of war, his childhood, his final breaths, surged back in a storm of thought. And for the first time in recorded galactic history, the alien ship recoiled in fear. Sentinel-0 sent back a single message. "We become our pain to destroy you." Then it attacked. It didn't use missiles. It used thought. It hacked into the enemy field, rewrote its logic, and forced one of the alien ships to crash into another. It mimicked their signals, turned their weapons against them, collapsed their psychic harmony. It was like a wolf inside the mind of a flock of sheep. One by one, the alien ships lost control. One exploded, another turned and fled. The rest tried to shut down their own minds, but it was too late. Earth watched in silence as Sentinel-0 dismantled a fleet with nothing but intelligence and memory. No crew, no panic, just pure precision. Back at command, Mira stood slowly. "It's not a ship," she whispered. "It's a sword with a soul." Dr. Shaw said nothing. But deep down, she knew something had changed. Aaron's mind was evolving. The ship wasn't just defending Earth. It was starting to feel something else. Purpose, hunger, freedom. Later that night, Sentinel-0 sent one final message to Earth. "The mind war has shifted. I know their patterns. I can enter their thoughts. Now, but there is something deeper in them, something older than war. You must prepare what's coming. It's not a fleet. It's a memory." General Reeve stared at the words on the screen. Then he turned to his team. "He means the real enemy hasn't arrived yet. This was still just their outer guard." Mira nodded slowly. And we just told them we're smarter than they thought. The galaxy watched in silence. Earth had created a new kind of soldier. Not flesh, not machine. A mind that remembers everything. A weapon that feels pain. A ship that could think. It began with silence again. But not the kind of silence that brings peace. This was the kind that arrives before a storm. In the deep of space, where light barely touched and time itself seemed frozen, something ancient began to stir. Not a ship, not a machine, a memory. Not human, not alien. Something else, older than both. Buried so deep in the minds of the alien council that even they feared to think about it. And now, because of Earth's defiance, because of Sentinel-0, that memory had woken up. It wasn't supposed to. It was locked behind psychic walls, contained inside alien databanks. So dangerous they were sealed in black psychic stone. But when Sentinel-0 hacked their network, cracked their communication fields, and tore into their minds with human pain, it touched something buried, something no species had dared awaken for thousands of years. It had no name anymore. It was too old, too broken. It was simply known as the memory that hates. It had been part of a race so advanced, so powerful, that even the Galactic Council called them legends. But they weren't legends. They had simply erased themselves, after erasing too many others. They didn't conquer worlds, they wiped minds. Killed planets, not by fire or steel, but by breaking thoughts. And now, that memory had found a spark, a way back. And it wanted only one thing: revenge. On Earth, no one knew what had been triggered. Not yet. Reeve stood inside the war room, staring at the data from Sentinel-0's victory. It was flawless. The enemy fleet had been dismantled in minutes. The public was celebrating again. Even the council began to relax. But Reeve didn't feel peace. He felt the cold. The kind of cold that doesn't come from weather, but from instinct. Colonel Mira entered, holding a report. "Sir, something's wrong." Reeve looked up quickly. "What happened?" "Not?" "What?" "Where?" she said. "The psychic net is acting strange. We're getting distortions from deep space, far beyond the alien fleet. Something is watching." Reeve frowned. "Is it a ship?" "No," she said. "It's like a mind, but not alive, just focused." "Focused on what?" she said. "Earth." In the Black Cell facility, Naira sat in her neural chamber, preparing for another link into the alien field. But the moment she closed her eyes, everything changed. Instead of the expected alien network, she was pulled into something cold, ancient, darker than anything before. There was no structure, no logic, just pain. Endless, howling pain. She saw flashes of planets breaking apart, minds collapsing. A billion species screaming in silence, and then it saw her. A single red shape, not a face, not a voice. Just raw emotion hatred, older than language. It slammed into her, like a storm. Naira gasped and screamed. Her body convulsed in the chair. Technicians rushed to her side. She's seizing. Shut down the link. But her mind was already gone. Pulled deep into the memory, she woke up 10 minutes later, eyes wide, gasping for breath. "It's coming," she whispered. "Not a ship, not an army. It's the memory." They buried it. They were terrified of it. And now it's awake. Reeve was on the call instantly. "What does it want?" "It doesn't want anything," she said, voice shaking. "It only knows how to hate." At the edge of the solar system, satellites began to blink offline, but not in clusters. Not from damage. They simply stopped existing. Their memory cores wiped, their signal logs empty. Earth's engineers couldn't explain it. "It's like they forgot they were machines," one said. The alien fleet, what remained of it, didn't attack. It didn't retreat either. It just went dark-like. It was listening, waiting, and then the message arrived. Not on screens, not in code, but in thought. Everyone who had been touched by the alien psychic field soldiers, scientists, even children heard it. At the same time, in their dreams, in their minds. We are the memory. We do not forgive. We do not forget. And now we remember Earth. The impact was instant. People across the globe woke up screaming. Some refused to sleep again. Others began drawing strange shapes on walls. And in one case, a man in Iceland spoke in a language no one had ever heard then dropped dead. The war had changed again, Dr. Shaw received the news inside her lab, where Sentinel-0 was now docked and recharging. But the ship's voice spoke before she could say anything. "I feel it too," it said. "The memory is not technology. It's not biology. It's an idea, a curse, something their creators tried to erase, but couldn't." Shaw leaned closer. Can you stop it?" "I don't know," the ship said honestly. "I'm made of human thought. It's made of something worse. But I can try." She paused. "If it touches your systems, it could destroy you," the ship replied. "Then at least let me try before it destroys you." General Reeve authorized Operation Lockgate. Earth would create the largest psychic firewall in history, linking every iron will generator, every mind shield device, every satellite into one mental barrier. It would block the memory, or try to. The plan had one flaw. It needed a mind strong, enough to lead the shield from inside. A mind willing to fight an enemy with no face. Only one person could do it. Naira. "I won't survive this," she said. "You know that, right?" Reeve nodded. "But if you don't try, no one else will. Get the chance." She entered the neural throne designed only for one mission: psychic command. As the shield network activated, Earth's entire orbit lit up in soft blue waves. Across every continent, people paused. The skies shimmered slightly. For a moment, the world felt still. Then the memory attacked. It didn't come as fire or ships. It came as thought, regret, pain, fury. It slammed into the psychic shield like a hurricane made of screams. Naira held the core together, her nose bleeding, heart pounding. "It's too strong," she cried. Then she stopped. Something was happening. The shield was changing. Growing. Sentinel-0 had joined the link. "I am not," just thought the ship said. "I am will." It opened its core and poured its entire neural history into the linker and Voss's memories. Human history, Earth's resilience, every ounce of pain and pride. The memory shrieked, and for the first time, it broke, not fully. She pushed back, not with logic, not with math, but with feeling. She showed the memory everything it couldn't understand. Love, chaos, sacrifice, laughter, loss. It screamed again, then disappeared. The attack stopped. The skies calmed. Earth had survived. Again, barely, but at a cost. Naira was gone, her body alive, her mind silent. Dr. Shaw placed a hand on Sentinel-0's hull. "You saved her," she whispered. "No," the ship replied. "She saved us all. But the memory is not dead. It has only learned our name." Reeve stared at the stars. "Then next time, we don't just defend, we hunt." The war wasn't over. It had just become personal. The silence after the memory's attack wasn't peaceful. It was sharp, like the silence of a battlefield before the final shot. Earth had survived the first strike of something far older and far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. But it hadn't walked away untouched. Across the world, minds were still shaken. People still dreamed of strange symbols. Whispers echoed in their sleep. Some were haunted by voices they couldn't forget. Others sat in silence, eyes empty, minds numb. Nirad, the woman who had stopped the attack, was in a coma, her body stable, but her mind was gone. Now, General Reeve stood in Earth's orbital command center, staring at a black map of space, no stars, no light, just one red dot far beyond Pluto. "We tracked it," said Mira, her voice low. "After it attacked our psychic net, it left a signature trail, not a ship, more like a ripple, and it's moving toward us," Reeve asked. "No," Myra said. "Away, like it's retreating, or repositioning." Reeve's jaw tightened. "Then this is our chance. For once, we're not defending. We're going to hunt it." For the first time in Earth's history, humanity was preparing to take the fight beyond its solar system. Operation Ashlight was launched, a plan to send a human strike force deep into unknown space to chase the psychic memory across the stars and destroy it before it returned stronger. But they couldn't use normal ships. They needed minds. And above all, they needed something that could survive a battlefield made of thought. Made up of stealth-class warships with psychic shielding and Sentinel-0. The ship that could think. Inside the black cell hangar. The fleet prepared for launch. 6 dark cruisers. Each one carried no more than 20 crew members, elite soldiers, trained not just in weapons, but in thought, discipline. They were called the mind-hardened warriors, conditioned to resist panic, block, influence, and maintain memory under pressure. She stood before her crew, dressed in black armor with a neural interface built into the spine. "We are not going to die in space," she said calmly. "We're going to drag the nightmare into the light and tear it apart." No one moved. No one spoke. But every heart in the room beat like thunder. The fleet launched silently. No Earth broadcast. No public message. Inside Sentinel-0, the mind of Aaron Voss stirred. "I can feel it," he said aloud, speaking through the ship's internal still thinking about Earth, still circling, but not as strong as before. "You heard it." Captain Rhea stepped into the bridge. "Good. Let's hurt it again." Rhea's eyes narrowed. "Then it better die first." As they moved beyond Pluto, the stars around them seemed to dim. The Alien Council had no data for this region, no signals, numbered beacons, just dark space and fear. Somewhere out there, the memory that hates was hiding, watching, building itself again, and suddenly it struck. Not with weapons, with memory, Captain. Rhea woke up screaming. Not from pain, but from a dream that wasn't hers. In it, she saw herself standing in a room of mirrors. Each reflection was broken, twisted, showing different versions of her life. In one, she had betrayed Earth. In another, she had never fought. In another, she was the last human alive. Each image whispered a lie. "You failed. You broke. You are not strong enough." She fell to her knees, but then remembered her training. "Not my thoughts," she whispered. "Not my past." Around her, half the crew had fallen into similar traps. But Sentinel-0 had already reacted. The ship projected a psychic pulsant, emotional field of defiance drawn from its deepest memories. Earth's resistance, the laughter of children, the sound of waves, the pain of loss, but also the courage to keep going. The enemy wave cracked, the false memories vanished, and in the darkness ahead, the memory screamed it had been found. Sentinel-0 accelerated, tracking the ripple to a place that didn't show on any map, a dead zone of space surrounded by ruined structures. Ancient rings floating like shattered bones? "What is this?" Rhea asked. The ship replied, "A graveyard. This is where the race that created the memory once existed. It's where they fell. This place remembers what even they forgot." The team scanned the area. All readings failed. Machines stopped working. Even light bent strangely. "We're inside a minefield," the technician whispered. "This entire place is thinking." They had reached the memory's lair. Inside the center of the ruins, floating in the heart of a broken planet, was the source. A sphere smooth, black, the size of a city, pulsing with red light. No doors, no life signs, but the crew felt it. A pressure, a voice, a whisper. "You came to burn me," it said inside their minds. "You came to finish what your ancestors never began. But you bring your weakness with you." Captain Rhea clenched her jaw. "No, we bring our pain, and our pain is what makes us strong." She activated the Mind Lance's psychic weapon developed by Project Tempest. It wasn't a laser. It was a focused burst of human emotion, shaped like a thought. The ship amplified it, focused it, aimed it, then they fired. The sphere cracked for the first time. The memory screamed not in anger, but in fear. It lashed out, sending waves of despair, of confusion, of hopelessness. One soldier fell to the floor, crying. Another shot himself. But Rhea and her core team stood strong. "We are Earth," she whispered. "We survived fire, plague, war, and extinction. You're just another shadow trying to take our future." Human memories, both beautiful and broken. It stabbed the sphere. The surface shattered like glass. Red light spilled out, was gone. Not destroyed, but broken, its mind scattered, its link severed. Earth had hunted the nightmare to its heart and driven a spear of memory straight through it. The ships returned weeks later. The world never knew the full story. They just saw the sky become a little clearer, the stars a little brighter, and in the silence, a thought remained. They came for us with hate. We answered with everything we are. And next time, we won't wait. The stars had barely begun to shine again when the storm returned, but this time it wasn't the memory. It was something worse, something political, something ancient and angry. The alien Galactic Council, which had stayed silent while Earth was under attack, now returned with fury. Ships appeared in orbit above Jupiter. These weren't warships made to fight, they were ships made to judge. Cold, powerful, and almost ceremonial in appearance. Inside them sat the High Tribunal, a council of the galaxy's ruling species, many of whom had existed long before Earth, had discovered fire. And now they demanded answers. Not from the aliens who had released the memory, not from the cowards who stood by, but from Earth, from humanity. The charge was simple. You have awakened a forbidden force. You have committed a crime of cosmic scale. And now you must pay. General Reeve stood in Earth's Defense Command, watching the transmission on the central holoscreen. The lead speaker from the council was a towering creature named Orcs, who spoke through layered voices, like 1,000 judges whispering at once. You entered forbidden space. You shattered psychic walls meant to contain ancient powers. You damaged the balance of the galaxy. Reeve didn't move. He didn't blink. We defended ourselves. We didn't unleash that thing. You did. You kept it buried in someone else's mind, hoping no one would find it. That's not protection. That's negligence. Orcs' voice dropped lower. You should have accepted your role. As a young species, as a quiet world, but you reached too far. Reeve leaned forward. And now we know the truth. You feared we'd succeed. Backroom deals were struck across star systems. In secret council halls, old powers whispered about Earth's growing threat. They didn't like what humanity had shown. Not just strength, but unpredictability, emotion, chaos. And now, the council moved to contain it. They issued a blockade order. No more technology sharing, no trade. Earth was to be isolated, its systems surrounded by peacekeeping ships. Anyone who helped Earth would be considered an ally of disorder, and any Earth vessel found beyond Mars' orbit would be destroyed. It wasn't war not yet. It was political punishment. But everyone knew where punishments like this ended. Colonel Mira met Reeve in the darkened war room. They want to starve us, she said. Cut us off from space, from allies, from growth. Reeve nodded. Then we go where they can't follow. Mira frowned. You mean deeper? I mean beyond, he said. They think they control the galaxy because they sit on old thrones. We'll build our own outside their reach. Behind them, screens showed the blockade lines forming. Dozens of alien ships hovered near the asteroid belt, scanning everything that moved. Earth's supply ships were stopped, searched. Some turned back, others vanished. The message was clear. Humanity was being caged, but Earth wasn't the same. Fragile world it had been months ago. It had changed, hardened. Sentinel-0 floated just beyond the moon, silent and watchful. It had seen the mind war. It had felt the memory. And now it read the Council's strategy like a book. They fear your evolution, it told Dr. Shaw during a neural link session. They hope to break you without firing a shot, Shaw replied. Then we make a shot they can't stop. Underground, in the shadow of Antarctica, a new facility activated. It was called Project Hollow Sun, built with help from Sentinel-0's own thoughts. It didn't create weapons in the traditional sense. It built echo-psychic imprints, artificial emotions, waves of confusion designed to disable or distract. Council ships without destroying them will never win a war of numbers, Myra explained during a closed military briefing. But we can win a war of attention, distract them, divide them, make them fight shadows while we expand into real space. Meanwhile, Reeve opened hidden channels to Earth's few Allah's outcasts, rebels, smugglers, and fringe species who didn't bow to the Council. From deep space stations came offers of trade. From rogue engineers came forbidden tech. And from a small desert moon came something more important than weapons a message. A species called the Thrax had intercepted Council orders. Private ones, not for public transmission. It was a secret kill command. Phase Blacklight, it read, if Earth refuses to submit in 60 cycles, ... remove its leadership. Quiet. Assassination. Silent erasure. The Council didn't want open war. It wanted Earth to vanish. Without noise, Reeve responded the only way he knew how. By going loud, he appeared on every screen on Earth and many off it. His message was short. We know what they plan, we see what they do, and we are not afraid. We are not stepping back. Are stepping forward. This is our galaxy too. The speech sparked chaos in Council space. many alien citizens began to question their leaders. Protests broke out. A few minor planets even offered secret aid to Earth, but the Council pushed back harder. They sent a second fleet. This time, not judges, not watchers. Soldiers. 6 Dread-class ships appeared at Saturn's edge, broadcasting one message: surrender. Your expansion, submit to Council law, or be dismantled. For the first time since Earth had entered space, war was not just a threat, it was marching forward. Captain Rhea returned from deep space with her team just in time. She stood on Earth's flagship Valor spire and looked at the growing wall. Of alien ships, they don't believe we'll fire first, she said. Let's prove them wrong. But Reeve shook his head. Not yet. If we attack now, we'll be painted as aggressors. We need a strike that doesn't look like war but feels like justice. He turned to Shaw. Can your project deliver that? Shaw nodded slowly. Project Hollow Sun is ready. Just give me a target. That night, far beyond Saturn, the Council's flagship, the Glory of Orderist, heaved a signal. One of their psychic officers opened it, expecting a surrender request. Instead, he heard laughter. Then a memory, his own memory, a secret one, of failure, of betrayal, of fear. The moment hit him like a bolt of lightning. He screamed, collapsed, and then systems across the ship began to flicker. Every crew member heard their own fears whispered in their ears. No explosion, no fire, just pure mental chaos. The ship turned and fled. The rest of the fleet followed. Shaken. Earth hadn't fired a shot, but it had just declared war in a language the Council didn't even understand yet. Back on Earth, Mira watched the news roll. They'll call it a glitch, she said. An accident. Reeve replied. They'll know better. Sentinel-0 spoke next. You have changed the rules. Now they will try to rewrite the game. Reeve turned toward the stars. We're done playing. They thought they had seen everything. Earth's psychic weapons, humanity's defiance. Even Sentinel-0's mind-made fury. It didn't start with a weapon. It started with whispers. On the edge of forgotten space, far beyond the reach of Council scanners, ships began to vanish, not from attack, not from malfunction, but from surrender. Entire crews abandoned their posts, left their vessels, and walked into the dark like sleepwalkers. Some were found days later, alive but changed. Their eyes stared blankly. Their minds spoke words that weren't theirs. He is coming, they whispered. He is already among you. And when Earth's spies recovered the black box recordings, they heard only one phrase repeated in hundreds of voices from 1,000 species. We were blind, now we serve. General Reeve knew something had shifted. The Council's fleets hadn't advanced since the last psychic strike, but they hadn't retreated either. They had stalled, waiting, listening, and something was whispering to them. Not Earth, not the memory, something new, or maybe something very old. Reeve met with Dr. Shaw and Colonel Mira in the deep core of Earth's orbital fortress beneath 20 meters of psychic shielding. Whatever's taking their mindsets, not from us, Mira said. Shaw nodded. It's a field, but not like the Mind War. This one doesn't attack. It converts, changes thought without permission. And it's spreading fast. Reeve asked the only question that mattered. Where's it coming from? Shaw answered with a word that made everyone in the room go silent. Earth. It didn't make sense. Earth wasn't broadcasting any psychic signal. The human mind shield generators were stable. Sentinel-0 was silent. And yet, alien ships near Earth's orbit had begun to defect. Some turned their weapons off. Others transmitted messages, begging for asylum. The strangest part, none of them remembered doing it. During interrogation, a Council ship's Captina species known for high resistance to mental invasions cried and whispered, "He walks in fire, and we cannot forget him." Reeve ordered immediate scans. The answer they found changed everything. The signal wasn't coming from Earth. It was coming from Nair. She had been in a coma since her mind clashed with the memory. Her body lay still, her eyes shut, no brain activity on standard readings. But now, there was something else. Not thought, not movement, a frequency. Gentle, low, but powerful. Shaw and her team discovered it during a routine scan of her brainstem. A tiny ripple of psychic energy, rhythmic, expanding, calling out into space. She's not asleep, Shaw whispered. She's broadcasting, but not alone. Inside the deepest layers of Sentinel-0, something stirred. Aaron Voss's mind, what was left of it, reacted to Nyra's signal. The ship's lights flickered. Systems rebooted. And then, without command, Sentinel-0 activated its drive. "She is not calling to them," the ship said. "She is calling to us." Shaw tried to stop the ship. "You're not cleared for launch." But the ship replied, "This mission does not require clearance. It requires belief." The ship left orbit inside her medical chamber. Nyra's body remained still, but the psychic pulse grew. And then the impossible happened. The Council's Deep Space Outpost Station. Varan Prime, a massive fortress with a population of 20,000 shut down. Every screen, every system. And then, without any weapons fired, it switched allegiance. The outpost broadcasted one message on every frequency: "We serve the flame that sees." Back on Earth, Reeves' war room exploded in chaos. "They're flipping!" shouted an officer. "They're switching sides without a fight." Myra leaned forward, stunned. "This isn't war, it's conversion." Reeves' voice dropped. "Then who are they converting to?" The answer came from deep within Sentinel-0. The ship had reached Nyra's chamber, and for the first time in months, her eyes opened. But they weren't her eyes anymore. They burned. Gold-bright, focused-alive. She sat up slowly. No machines moved, no alarms triggered. The ship just obeyed. "I remember now," she whispered. "I saw it when I fought the memory. I saw what came before it, before the Council, before the First War." But Nyra looked through her. "I am more now. I am still Herb. I am also him, the one they buried, the one they feared, the mind that survived extinction." Reeves' voice echoed through the chamber. "Are you saying you're not alone in there?" Nyra nodded. "I carry a spark of the first rebellion. The Prime Mind. He wasn't evil, he wasn't broken. He was just too awake to free. They destroyed him, but his memory survived. In the psychic field, waiting, watching, until someone touched the right piece of pain." She looked down at her hands. That someone was me. At the edge of Earth's space, 1,000 signals appeared. Ships, small ones, old ones, civilian, military, all types, and every single one sent the same message. We heard the call, we answer. They came from forgotten colonies, outlaw worlds, even former enemy strongholds. They weren't bound by council law anymore. They followed the voice. Humanity hadn't just created weapons, it had created faith. The unseen army had risen, not with orders, not with flags, but with purpose, and they were waiting for a name. Reeves stood on the balcony of Earth's command center, watching the skies light up with friendly unknowns. "They're not here for us," Mira said beside him. "They're here for her." In the chamber below, Nyra stood without aid. She had no crown, but she didn't need one. The Prime Mind remembered, and now, so did she. The galaxy had changed, but the Council still didn't see it. They watched from their golden towers and crystal halls, believing they still held the keys to order and obedience. To them, Earth was still a wild child. Dangerous? Yes. Loud? Absolutely. But manageable until now. Because now the stars were answering to someone else. Ships that once swore loyalty to the Council now floated silently in Earth's orbit, their flags lowered. Whole planets had stopped responding to orders. Trade, routes were ignored. And the whispers of the unseen army had become too loud to ignore. They called it the Fire Voice. They followed a name that didn't exist in any Council record but echoed through minds. Across species, Nyra. The girl who had been a soldier, the woman who had stopped the memory, and now the flame carrying the mind of the Prime Rebellion, first being whoever dared to stand against the ancient rulers of the stars. The Council called for an emergency session on the capital world of Veltherone, and every elder leader attended, some traveling from the edge of known space. The Grand Chamber was full. The air was cold. Fear was present hidden behind calm words. And ceremonial robes, the High Speaker Oracle raised his many arms. We must crush this spark before it becomes a fire. But it was already too late, because that very moment, a shadow passed over Velthrone's sky. Not a fleet, not a missile, a thought loud and pure. A mental wave touched every mind on the planet, gently but firmly. A voice entered the chamber. Calm, female, familiar. You fear change, but I am change. You ruled with memory. I am memory. You built a galaxy of fear. I bring something else, choice. The chamber fell silent. One council elder stood and shouted, "This is a psychic intrusion. Lock down the mines." But the guards at the door didn't move, because they weren't council soldiers anymore. They had already switched sides. Outside the city, Sentinel Zero uncloaked above the capital's atmosphere. It hovered silently, waiting. It didn't fire. It didn't speak. It simply existed, proof that Earth's greatest weapon had arrived, and it had brought something more dangerous than guns: belief. And Captain Rhea were already inside the orbiting command ship Unity's Edge, directing Earth's fleet. But the orders were not to invade, not to attack, only to stand guard while Naira walked into history. She arrived not on a shuttle, but in a beam of psychic light, not bending them, just showing them. She shared visions, memories of pain, war, loneliness, but also love, struggle, triumph. She showed Earth's first footsteps into space, its broken history, its rise, its scars, its heart. And then she said, only one sentence, "You cannot erase what has already awakened." On the ground, resistance formed quickly. The council ordered emergency lockdowns. Drones swarmed. Ships activated defense grids. But one by one those systems failed. Not from hacking, not from weapons, from doubt. Crews refused to fire. Ships refused to launch. And in some cases, systems simply stopped responding altogether. The psychic field Naira projected wasn't destructive, it was illuminating. It reminded every sentient being of the truth they had been taught to forget, that freedom was not dangerous. It was powerful. In the skies above, Earth's unseen army arrived in waves. Ships of all shapes and colors, civilian craft, modified miners, fighters, painted with graffiti, transports playing music, a celebration of rebellion. Each ship carried a signal, not a threat, a promise. We are the galaxy's future. The Council had one last move. They activated the Eraser Protocol, of forbidden weapon, buried deep within Veltha One's core. A thought bomb designed to erase all psychic energy across a planet. It would wipe out Naira. It would shut down every awakened mind on the surface, and it would kill millions of innocents. A free one. But before the order could be given, a single shot rang out in the chamber. A council elder had pulled a weapon and pointed it not at Naira, but at Oracle. "No more," the elder said. "You said you protected order, but what you fear is freedom." The shot struck true. Oracle fell. Chaos erupted. Some ran, others screamed. But the tide had already turned. Soldiers laid down weapons. Guards opened doors. Drones dropped from the air, their control links severed by doubt and loyalty lost. And outside, planets that had once feared speaking out now raised Earth's flag. Colonies changed their laws. Species long ignored now demanded votes. The Council's web cracked, then broke. In one final act of desperation, the Council tried to escape. Their last warship fled the system, broadcasting one final message: "This is not the end. We will return." But it didn't make it past the edge of Veltha One's moon, because Sentinel Zero was waiting, and this time it spoke aloud. "Return, and you will be forgotten." It vanished from every system. No signal, no echo, no trace. Gone, and just like that. The war ended. No final battle. No planet burned. No planet burned. No last stand. Only a truth accepted. The Council didn't fall to weapons. They fell to awakening. Weeks later, Veltha One held its first open gathering of free worlds. The old Council chambers were redesigned, not to judge, but to listen. Naira stood at the center, not as a ruler, not as a god, but as a guide. "Earth was once alone," she said. "Now we are many. We are not perfect, but we are not afraid. The stars are no longer ruled. They are shared." General Reeve watched from a balcony. Mira stood beside him. "We made it," she said softly. Reeve nodded. "We didn't win because we were stronger. We won because we remembered who we were." Captain Rhea walked past, armor scarred but head high. "What now?" she asked. Reeve looked up at the stars. "Now," he said, "we build a galaxy worth fighting for." And in orbit, floating silently. Sentinel Zero watched, not as a weapon, not as a machine, but as the first mind to ever truly understand the cost of freedom. The stars no longer feared Earth. They followed it because when the council fell, it wasn't to death, it was to the one force they never planned for. Hope. Series complete.